My name is Seraphina Morgan, 32 years old. The scent of polished mahogany and faint cologne strikes me the moment I push through the glass doors of Morgan Industries headquarters. I arrive 30 minutes early, though the quarterly board meeting isn't scheduled until 9. Something in my father's clipped tone during our phone call yesterday had left a splinter of unease in me. Just a routine discussion about budget allocations, he had said, but there had been a strain in his voice, a crack he couldn't hide. The executive floor stretches ahead in hushed elegance. Thick cream-colored carpet swallows the sound of my low heels, while walnut paneling gleams under recessed lighting. Frame portraits of ancestors stare down at me, generations of Morgans immortalized in oil paint, their eyes cold, their mouths pressed thin as if they, too, are judges. Each step feels heavier under their gaze, as if they already know why I've come. I adjust the charcoal gray pantsuit I picked specifically to look professional, though compared to my sister Victoria's endless parade of designer blazers, it feels understated, almost invisible. My life has always been measured against hers, her polish, her charm, her ability to command a room. I was the one who stayed in the lab, hunched over equations and prototypes, the one who believed hard work would eventually speak louder than appearances. But as I near the boardroom, muffled voices leak into the hallway, slicing through the silence. I stop, pulse quickening. The door is ajar, a sliver of light spilling across the carpet. Just sign here, William. Tech Corbs is ready to wire the funds as soon as we close. The voice is male, sharp and precise, one I don't recognize. My father responds, his deep baritone unmistakable. $3.5 million is robbery, considering what we've invested into that division. But I suppose it's more than fair for unproven technology. I freeze, blood draining from my face. Unproven technology, my technology. Then I hear her, Victoria's voice, smooth as silk, brimming with the confidence that once made teachers adore her and board members nod along without question. It's generous, Father. Elizabeth's little experiments have drained us long enough. We can use the cash infusion elsewhere. For a moment, the room tilts around me. They're discussing my division, my 6 years of research, my team's sacrifices, the breakthroughs we've barely begun to reveal, selling it, quietly, as though I never existed. I shove the door open. The hinges groan, and 4 heads whip toward me. My father, immaculate in a tailored suit. Victoria, resplendent in her crimson blazer. James, my older brother, hunched over his chair like he wants to melt into the carpet. And a thin man in wire spectacles I don't recognize. Papers scatter across the gleaming table, one sliding toward me. I catch bold black words before Victoria snatches it away. Quantum Stability Division. Asset Transfer Agreement. Seraphina, my father says first, his silver brows pulling together. You're early. The meeting isn't until 9. My voice shakes, but the words force their way out, raw. You're selling my life's work without even telling me? He sighs, adjusting his cufflinks as though they matter more than my outrage. Your little science project has drained enough company resources, 6 years of funding, and what do we have to show investors? Nothing concrete. Nothing concrete? My hands tremble as I step forward. We stabilize quantum resonance at room temperature for 17 minutes. Do you have any idea what that means? Victoria's laugh cuts through me, brittle and sharp. 17 minutes of glorified tinkering. You've always mistaken obsession for progress. She turns to the stranger, lips curling. This is what we've endured for years, promises that never materialize. My eyes dart to James, desperate for support, but he stares at his polished shoes, his shoulders curled inward. His silence wounds me more than Victoria's mockery. A memory surfaces unbidden, Grandmother Eleanor's frail hands gripping mine months before she passed. They won't understand vision, Seraphina, but I do. I've made arrangements to protect you. Don't let them silence you. I swallow hard. That voice, her belief, is all that steadies me now. My father's tone softens slightly, but the condescension remains. This division has cost nearly $12 million. The board agrees it's time to cut our losses. The board hasn't met yet, I snap, steadier than I feel. He waves a hand. A formality. The voting shares are already aligned. TechCore is being generous, considering the circumstances. The room swims. 6 years of grueling days, nights fueled by vending machine coffee, my team missing birthdays and holidays because we believed in this. And now, a backroom deal to erase it all. I spin on my heel, intent on leaving before they see tears prick my eyes. But at the doorway, something stills me. A strange calm washes over me. I turn back. My father watches with the confidence of a man convinced he's already won. Victoria smirks, pen poised. You might want to check the ownership of those patents, I say softly, before you sign anything else. The words drop into the air like stones. My father's expression flickers. First irritation, then something I rarely see. Uncertainty. Victoria's manicured hand freezes, pen suspended midair. James finally looks up, his eyes widening as if he alone understands the earthquake I've just unleashed. I close the door behind me, the soft click echoing louder than thunder in the silence that follows. My legs carry me down the hallway like they belong to someone else. My chest burns, but beneath the fear, a spark ignites. For years, they dismissed me as the quiet one, the obsessive one, the odd one out. But grandmother was right. They never read the fine print. And today, that might just be their undoing. Morning light slants through the blinds of my apartment, striping the floor in pale gold. I pace the narrow space, my phone pressed to my ear, dialing the same number again and again. Each ring scratches at my nerves. Finally, a click. Seraphina, I'm outside, Margaret Wheaton's calm voice says. I open the door to find her standing there, every inch composed, her charcoal suit sharp enough to cut glass. Behind her, Dr. Thomas Reynolds clutches a bulging accordion file, his face pale but resolute. Margaret doesn't wait for an invitation. She strides past me, heels clicking decisively against the hardwood. We found everything. Thomas sets his laptop on the counter, already pulling out cables, while Margaret spreads documents across my coffee table with surgical precision. The papers form a constellation of betrayal, each one a star in a universe I never wanted to know. Margaret taps a thick folder with a manicured nail. Your father has systematically blocked every funding request you've submitted for the past 3 years. They never even reached the board. My throat tightens. I picture the countless nights writing proposals, cross-checking budgets, convincing my exhausted team to keep pushing. Each rejection had felt like failure, my failure. To learn it was sabotage, it makes my skin crawl. That's not all, Thomas says, swiveling his laptop toward me. A PowerPoint presentation fills the screen, Victoria's name bold at the top. Look familiar? My chest constricts. The slides show algorithms, charts, data sets, identical to what my team developed months ago. She presented this as her own work? Thomas's normally soft voice hardens. Won awards for innovation. Bonuses bigger than our entire lab budget, and she's been doing it for nearly a year. I stumble back, sinking onto the couch as if gravity has doubled. How? Jason, from IT. Thomas's jaw clenches. She convinced him to give her admin access for a security audit. She's been downloading everything since. The room tilts. All those times Victoria smirked at family dinners, mocking my expensive hobby. I thought it was ignorance. Now I see it was theater, because she already knew. Margaret hands me another folder, heavier than the first. Internal emails between your father and Victoria. Read. I skim through, stomach twisting with every line. Don't worry about Seraphina's requests. I intercept them before the board sees anything. My father's words, blunt as a hammer. Another email from Victoria. Had dinner with tech course executives. Told them my division is making excellent progress. They're eager to invest. His reply, good. Seraphina's project is bleeding money. When the time comes, we'll transition ownership to you. Family legacy matters more than credit. I think of my team. Simone, who missed her sister's wedding to debug code. Aditi, whose student visa depends on this job. Marcus, who hasn't taken a vacation in 5 years. All of them trusting me to protect their futures. And here, in black and white, my family plotting to erase us. They didn't just betray me, I whisper. They betrayed all of us. Margaret's gaze is steady, which is why we fight back. For the first time since storming out of that boardroom, I breathe fully. The anger doesn't cool, it sharpens. We're going back there, I say, standing. Margaret nods. Good. But remember, they won't fight fair. And William... She pauses, her expression flickering. William has built his empire on intimidation. He doesn't know how to lose. I've been losing to him my whole life, I murmur. Maybe that's why he won't see this coming. As we pack the files, Thomas lingers. Seraphina, there's something you should know. I meet his eyes, bracing myself. James knew, he says quietly. Maybe not the full extent, but he knew Victoria was presenting work that wasn't hers. The words land like stones in my chest. My brother, the one who used to sneak me chocolate bars during finals week, who once stayed up all night helping me solder circuits for a high school science fair project. He knew. Margaret interrupts, crisp as ever. Then he'll have to choose which side he's on, and soon. Her voice is firm, but inside, a crack forms. I can forgive sabotage from Victoria. I've expected it all my life. But James, that betrayal cuts deeper than I'm ready to admit. I glance at the scattered papers one last time. My father's signature, Victoria's smug smile on presentation slides, the stolen algorithms. 6 years of sacrifice, reduced to bargaining chips in their empire. I gather the folders, tuck them into a leather case, and straighten my shoulders. If they want war, I whisper, they've got one. The determination in my voice surprises even me. But somewhere, I swear I can feel grandmother's presence, like a faint hand on my shoulder, steadying me. Tomorrow, the boardroom will become a battlefield. And this time, I won't walk in unarmed. The next morning, I don't feel like myself. Or perhaps for the first time, I feel entirely myself. Margaret's leather briefcase is heavy with evidence as we stride into Morgan Industries. Thomas walks beside us, carrying a flash drive like it's a live grenade. Every step echoes louder than the last, drawing curious glances from employees who quickly look away. They sense something. Everyone does. At the boardroom door, the receptionist hesitates, her eyes darting between me and Margaret. Then she buzzes us through. No one dares stop Margaret Wheaton in full stride. The air inside is thick with expensive cologne and the chill of power. My father sits at the head of the long walnut table, perfectly tailored suit and icy calm. Victoria glows beside him, smug in a burgundy blazer that screams victory. James slouches in his usual seat, his gaze fixed on the table, shoulders hunched like he's trying to vanish. Around them sit 3 board members I recognize as my father's golf partners, men who nod when he nods, laugh when he laughs. Seraphina. My father's voice carries a warning, sharp enough to cut glass. This is a private meeting. About my division, I answer, stepping inside. Margaret and Thomas follow, closing the door firmly. So I should be here. Victoria's smile tightens, but her voice drips with honey. We were just discussing asset realignment, nothing that concerns you. You mean theft? Thomas interrupts, setting the flash drive on the table. His voice, usually quiet, reverberates like a gavel. The word freezes the room. One of the board members shifts uncomfortably, glancing at my father. Margaret steps forward, every inch the courtroom predator. I've prepared documentation showing systematic intellectual property theft, fraudulent representation, and misappropriation of resources. She slides folders across the table with surgical precision. Seraphina's patents are owned independently through the Eleanor Morgan Trust. Any attempt to sell them constitutes corporate fraud. The color drains from Victoria's face. She snatches a folder, flipping through pages so fast the papers crinkle. This is absurd. You always were dramatic, Seraphina, my father says, though I hear the uncertainty beneath his tone. This is business, not personal. Stealing my work is very personal, I reply, surprising myself with the steadiness of my voice. So is blocking my funding while Victoria paraded my research as her own. Victoria slams her palm on the table. Innovation doesn't count unless it changes markets. You've been hiding in your lab while I've been building relationships, making things happen. You mean taking credit for things you didn't do? Thomas projects the stolen data onto the wall screen. Victoria's emails to Jason from IT appear, each line damning. Requests for server access, lists of transferred files, timestamps matching our missing data. Gasps ripple around the table. One of the board members, a silver-haired woman with piercing eyes, leans forward, frown deepening. William, if these allegations are true, they're not, my father snaps, his fist clenching. Seraphina has always had an overactive imagination. While the rest of us run a business, she plays in her lab. He rises, towering over the table, his shadow stretching toward me. His eyes lock onto mine, burning with fury. You'll never work in this industry again. I made you. I can break you. 6 years ago, those words would have crushed me. Today, they galvanize me. I inhale slowly. The patents are in my name, funded by grandmother's trust. She saw what you refused to see. Silence falls. Even Victoria stops flipping through papers, her face hardening into a mask. James finally looks up, his eyes darting between us, conflict carved into his features. The silver-haired board member clears her throat. I believe we need an emergency meeting tomorrow. All members present. Full disclosure. She turns to my father. No exceptions. My father's face reddens, his control slipping. For the first time, I see the faint outline of panic in his eyes. I gather the documents, every movement deliberate, refusing to let my hands tremble. The weight of a dozen eyes presses down, but I walk toward the door with calm I don't entirely feel. At the threshold, Victoria's voice cuts the air like glass. Family loyalty used to mean something to you, Seraphina. Grandmother would be ashamed. I pause, hand on the doorknob. Her words sting, but they don't break me. I turn just enough to meet her gaze. No, Victoria. Grandmother knew exactly who you were. That's why she left the trust to me. The door closes behind us with a click that reverberates like thunder. In the hallway, Margaret exhales slowly. Round one goes to us. But tomorrow's the real war. I nod, the weight of her words sinking into my bones. This isn't just about patents or profits anymore. It's about truth. It's about survival. And tomorrow, everything will either shatter or shift forever. The press release drops less than 24 hours after the boardroom confrontation. Morgan Industries addresses leadership concerns in quantum division. My father's name dominates every paragraph, his voice dripping with paternal concern for my erratic behavior. Victoria appears in the third, expressing her heartbreak over private family matters becoming public. The subtext is clear. I am unstable, unreliable, a danger to the company's future. By the time I finish reading, my phone buzzes again. Unknown number. I answer with shaking hands. Dr. Morgan, this is Henry from security. Your keycard access has been terminated. Your team's been placed on administrative leave pending review. My team? The words scrape out of me, strangled. They've done nothing. Director's orders. His tone is neutral, but I imagine pity on his face. He hangs up before I can reply. I stand frozen in the middle of my apartment, blinds half drawn, golden afternoon light slicing through like prison bars. The walls feel closer than they should. My team, 7 brilliant minds who gave everything, cut loose because of me. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Thomas. Don't panic. Trust me. I don't trust anything anymore. 3 sharp knocks at my door yank me out of spiraling thoughts. I peer through the peephole. My entire research team huddles in the hallway. Thomas, Simone, Aditi, Marcus, Cooper. Their arms are full of cardboard boxes. I throw open the door. You've got 20 minutes before security notices, Thomas says briskly, pushing past me. He sets down a box with a thud. We cleared the lab. What is all this? My voice cracks. Backups, Aditi says, setting down a hard drive. Everything. Triple redundancy. Off-site. We saw this coming when Victoria started asking oddly specific questions about encryption. Simone pulls a flash drive from her pocket, holding it like treasure. And this, our breakthrough progress on the stability algorithm. 3 weeks of work they don't know exists. I press a hand to my mouth, overwhelmed. You risked everything. We're not letting years of sacrifice vanish because of your father's ego, Marcus mutters, his quiet voice firmer than I've ever heard it. Cooper grins faintly. Besides, my coffee's better than the lab's. Laughter bubbles out of me, shaky, broken, but real. For the first time in days, the crushing weight on my chest eases. Then another knock, this one soft, hesitant. Thomas freezes, gesturing for silence. I edge to the door, peer through the peephole. James stands alone, shoulders hunched, looking both ways like a guilty man. I slip outside, closing the door behind me. What do you want? His voice is stripped of polish. 5 minutes, please. I cross my arms. Make it fast. He rakes a hand through thinning hair. I knew. About the sale. About Victoria stealing your notes. About the campaign to discredit you. The hallway tilts around me. And you did nothing. I was a coward, he admits, eyes on the floor. But I'm done with that now. He pulls a folder from his jacket and presses it into my hands. Victoria's division hasn't produced original research in years. It's all acquisition and rebranding. These records prove it. I grip the folder, torn between rage and relief. Why now? James finally meets my eyes. For once, there's no smugness, no corporate mask, just weary honesty. Because Dad built an empire with brute force. But you could change the world. And your team proved it this morning. Tech cores offered each of them $500,000 to jump ship. Every single one said no. A lump rises in my throat. Loyalty, he can't buy. James nods. That makes you dangerous to him. When he leaves, I re-enter my apartment to find my team clustered around Thomas's laptop, their faces lit by scrolling code. Reynolds looks up. Henderson and Farouk stayed at the lab. They'll feed us inside information. They'll come after all of you, I warn, sinking into my armchair. Your reputations, your careers. They already have, Simone interrupts, sliding her phone across the table. Recruiter messages fill the screen, offering them fresh starts away from the Morgan mess. Tech Corps offered me a corner office and stock options, Cooper says dryly. I told them I don't work for thieves. Aditi nods firmly. Your grandmother funded my doctoral research. Loyalty isn't just about paychecks. The mention of grandmother jolts something in me. I cross the room to my bookshelf, dig out the worn leather portfolio where I've kept her letters. Between birthday cards and graduation notes, I find one I only half remember, written 2 weeks before she died. My hands tremble as I unfold the paper. The charter amendment is filed with Harrington. If William ever tries to appropriate your work, Article 16 automatically redistributes voting shares. He never reads the fine print, darling. That's always been his weakness. The words blur as tears sting my eyes. Article 16, a clause buried in the very foundation of Morgan Industries. I clutch the letter, whispering to her photograph on my desk. You knew this day would come. Through the night, I comb through company documents, cross-referencing every line until my eyes burn. Near dawn, I find it. Article 16, Section 3, Paragraph 7. The clause that changes everything. My grandmother didn't just protect my patents, she protected me. When the first light of morning spills across my cluttered living room, I know with absolute certainty my father and Victoria think they've destroyed me. But the war has only begun. And this time, I hold the weapon they never saw coming. The boardroom feels different this morning. 13 members sit in high-backed leather chairs, expressions flickering between curiosity and unease. The emergency meeting called for 9 a.m. sharp has rattled them. They smell blood in the water, but they don't yet know whose. Through the glass wall, I see my father glance at his Rolex for the third time in 5 minutes. Victoria sits beside him, radiant in a scarlet suit, her smile practiced, brittle. James keeps his usual seat, shoulders hunched, but today his hands fidget against his papers. Margaret touches my arm. Ready? I smooth my tailored suit, a deliberate choice. Stronger lines, sharper cut than anything I've worn before. Not flashy like Victoria's, but commanding. I've been ready for 6 years. When we enter, silence ripples through the room. My father rises immediately. This is a closed board meeting. Seraphina, you and your entourage need to leave. Before I can respond, Dorothy Walker, the silver-haired board chair and my grandmother's oldest friend, taps her gavel. William, I called this meeting. Several members requested clarity on yesterday's attempted sale. Dr. Morgan deserves to be heard. The title lands like a stone in the room. Dr. Morgan. Recognition of my credentials. My father's jaw tightens. Victoria's perfectly plucked eyebrows shoot up. I move to the presentation screen. Margaret and Thomas distribute leather-bound folders to each board member. The rustle of paper fills the air, heavy with anticipation. Victoria slams her palm down. This is ridiculous. My sister is trying to hijack research funded by this company. She's been unstable since grandmother died. This is sabotage. My father seizes the opening. I move to adjourn this meeting. Family matters should not become business spectacle. Second, calls Vernon Pierce, his longtime golf partner. Dorothy shakes her head. Motion denied. Dr. Morgan, continue. The shift is subtle but seismic. For once, my father's will isn't law. I inhale, steady. The patents for the quantum stability algorithm are registered in my name. They were funded entirely by the Eleanor Morgan Trust, not Morgan Industries. Gasps whisper across the table. Hands flip to section 1 of the folders. Each board member scans the notarized documents. Victoria scoffs. Fabrications. Hard facts, Margaret cuts in smoothly. Independently verified and enforceable. I click to the next slide. The seal of the National Science Foundation fills the screen. The NSF has designated our breakthrough as a technology of national significance. The board leans forward as I continue. Initial licensing bids start at $4.2 billion, not the $3.5 million Tech Corps offered in yesterday's backroom deal. A collective intake of breath sweeps the table. Vernon Pierce's jaw slackens. Dorothy's eyes widen. That's preposterous, my father snaps. No unproven technology is worth... The Department of Defense disagrees, Margaret interrupts, directing attention to Section 3. So do MIT's Quantum Computing Center and 7 corporations who've already submitted preliminary offers. Victoria's color drains. Her hand grips her Mont Blanc pen so tightly her knuckles turn white. This is a bluff. She's always envied me. No bluff, I reply calmly. But speaking of envy, your division hasn't produced original research in years. Thomas plugs in the flash drive. Financial records and falsified reports fill the wall screen. Victoria's team recycled Seraphina's algorithms, rebranded them, and submitted them for awards. Fraud, plain and simple. One board member mutters, "Good God." Another slams his folder shut. My father rises again, towering. Enough! Seraphina has always exaggerated her importance. She is playing scientist while the rest of us run a business. His voice sharpens, echoing like a whip. You will not destroy this family legacy. The words slice through me, but I don't flinch. Instead, I slide a final page onto the table. Legacy? My voice is steady, low, deliberate. Then you should have read the fine print. The board flips to Section 5, Article 16, Paragraph 7. The clause my grandmother buried decades ago. In the event of attempted intellectual property appropriation, I read aloud, voting shares automatically transfer to the rightful patent holder. My gaze locks on my father's. As of yesterday, when you attempted to sell my research without consent, I became controlling shareholder of Morgan Industries. The room erupts, voices collide, questions, disbelief, outrage. But for once, they are directed not at me, but at him. My father's face reddens, his control slipping like sand through clenched fists. He looks at me with a fury I've never seen, as if sheer force of will could undo the ink on the page. Across the table, James finally sits upright, no longer hiding. His eyes meet mine, full of something between guilt and relief. Dorothy taps her gavel, cutting through the chaos. This meeting is adjourned until tomorrow when the board will reconvene for a formal vote. I gather my papers slowly, deliberately, as though I have all the time in the world. The balance of power has shifted, and everyone in this room knows it. At the door I pause. My father glowers at me, a storm behind his eyes. Victoria whispers something vicious under her breath, but I don't turn back. For the first time, I walk out of this boardroom not as their quiet scapegoat, but as their reckoning. The boardroom is heavy with silence the following morning. My nameplate gleams at the head of the mahogany table, a place I never imagined sitting, yet one that feels both foreign and inevitable. For 3 decades, my father ruled from this chair. Now the leather feels stiff, as though rejecting me, testing whether I am worthy. The board files in with careful expressions, cautious smiles. Their eyes dart between me and the empty chairs where my father and Victoria will soon sit. James slips in quietly, straighter than before, no longer hiding behind hunched shoulders. The doors swing open. My father enters first, his charcoal pinstripe suit pressed to perfection, every inch the titan he believes himself to be. Victoria follows, blazing in her crimson blazer, her smile as sharp as broken glass. The temperature in the room seems to drop 10 degrees. Seraphina, my father says curtly as he sits without waiting for acknowledgement. This circus has gone on long enough. Victoria leans forward, her voice sweetened with venom. The press would love to hear about a daughter's hostile takeover. Family betrayal sells headlines. Do you think stock prices will hold when investors read about this scandal? Their lawyer, Richard Walters, produces a document, his jowls quivering with self-importance. Cease and desist. You are barred from using the Morgan family patents. The name is trademarked, and the trust cannot supersede corporate bylaws. The old Seraphina might have wilted, but she no longer exists. I lift my tablet, swipe once, and the wall screen comes alive. The lights dim, and the first image appears. A gleaming facility, steel and glass, humming with innovation. Allow me to introduce Project Helios, I say, my voice calm, deliberate. Slides reveal cutting-edge laboratories, quantum servers, prototypes glowing with blue light. Gasps ripple through the room. Funded independently by Grandmother's Trust. Developed outside Morgan Industries. While you tried to sabotage me, my team achieved quantum supremacy, stable for 78 minutes. We've already applied the technology to protein folding, identifying 3 potential cancer treatments. The silence is electric. I pause, letting the weight sink in. Additionally, our carbon capture system has secured government contracts totaling $7 billion. Victoria's pen clatters against the table. James's eyes widen, shock written plainly across his face. Impossible, my father snarls. His mask of calm cracks, fury leaking through. You're bluffing. Margaret steps forward, distributing glossy packets. Government contracts, independent audits, verified results, no bluff. The board members flip through the documents, their faces shifting from doubt to awe. I continue, voice steady. While you undermined me, I built the future without you. For a heartbeat, no one moves. Then Dorothy Walker clears her throat. Impressive, Dr. Morgan. Very impressive. Victoria slams the table. You think you can erase me? I built this company's relationships. Without me. Without you, the fraud stops. I cut in. The forensic audit is in your packets. Falsified results, plagiarized research, embezzled funds, all traced to your division. A board member mutters, God help us. Victoria's face pales. Her hand trembles as she flips through the damning evidence. Lies. All of it. Page 12, Margaret says coldly. Your signature authorizing payments to shell companies. The FBI has already been notified. The room goes still. Victoria shoves back her chair, knocking it to the floor. You'll regret this, Seraphina. I'll burn this company to the ground before I let you win. Two security officers step forward. Effective immediately, Victoria Morgan is terminated for cause, Dorothy declares. Her protests echo down the hallway as she's escorted out, her voice shrill, desperate. When the door closes, silence engulfs the boardroom. All eyes shift to my father. His face is red, jaw tight, but his voice remains low, dangerous. You've destroyed your sister. You think you can destroy me too? I meet his gaze without flinching. You taught me business isn't personal. Consider this my lesson back to you. I slide the final document across the table. Effective today, William Morgan transitions to Chairman Emeritus. Ceremonial title, no operational authority. He rises, fury radiating from every pore. You can't do this. Yes, I can. I nod to security by the door. For the first time, his power falters. He looks around the table, searching for loyal hands to raise. None do. Even Vernon Pierce keeps his eyes down. Dorothy lifts her gavel. The vote stands. William Morgan is removed from authority. The thud echoes like a tomb closing. My father's glare burns into me as he's escorted out. You've ruined the Morgan legacy. You'll regret this. The doors close behind him. The silence he leaves is heavier than his presence. I look down the table at men and women who once dismissed me. We have work to do. And for the first time, they listen. 6 months can feel like a lifetime. The headquarters of Morgan Industries, once fortress-like, draped in mahogany and secrecy, now glitters with glass walls and collaborative spaces. Gone are the closed doors, the whispering corridors. Light spills through every corner, and the sound of laughter and debate replaces the hush of fear. I walk down a corridor with a cluster of young scientists at my side, their eager voices filling the air. My navy blazer and simple black trousers feel right here, unpretentious, professional, confident. This is our quantum stability lab, I explain, gesturing toward a room buzzing with energy. Every workstation connects directly to the central hub. A young woman with bright eyes raises her hand. Dr. Morgan, is it true you've achieved stability for over 80 minutes? I smile. 87 and counting. And please, call me Seraphina. The awe in her face reminds me of myself at her age. Hungry, uncertain, but burning with possibility. Later that afternoon, I stand in the boardroom. The table that once bore contracts meant to erase my life's work now displays new patents, quantum-based cancer detection with a 96% accuracy rate. The board listens attentively, not with skepticism, but with genuine interest. For the first time, their expressions reflect respect. Our early trials show we can detect cellular changes years before conventional methods, I say, letting the words linger. We're not just building technology, we're saving lives. When the applause subsides, the door creaks open. My mother stands hesitantly in the doorway. She looks smaller without her pearls, her designer gowns replaced by a simple gray dress. Her voice is soft, tentative. I didn't mean to interrupt. You're not interrupting, I assure her. The meeting disperses quickly, leaving us alone. I slide a folder across the table. I'd like you to consider heading the Morgan Charitable Foundation. Grandmother wanted healing where possible, even if some bridges couldn't be rebuilt. Her fingers tremble as she opens the folder. She doesn't speak right away, but her eyes glisten in a way I haven't seen since I was a child. The evening finds me in the lounge with my original team, now directors of their own divisions. Champagne bubbles in crystal glasses, laughter bounces against the walls. Dr. Reynolds raises his glass. To Seraphina, who saw what the rest of us only dreamed. To loyalty, Simone adds, smiling. We clink glasses, the sound bright, defiant. Across the room, James hovers near the wall, nursing a drink. His transformation is quieter, but no less profound. He's still CFO, but with oversight from an independent committee. Every day, he earns a little more trust. When our eyes meet, he nods, a silent acknowledgement that redemption is harder than betrayal, but he's trying. Later, in my office, a nervous knock startles me. A young physicist, Allison, hovers in the doorway, clutching a stack of calculations. Everyone says my ideas are too theoretical, she blurts, cheeks flushing, that they won't translate into real-world solutions. I study her hunched shoulders, the flicker of doubt in her eyes. I see myself, years ago, dismissed and overlooked. Never let anyone tell you your ideas are too ambitious, I tell her gently. The quiet ones are usually the ones building revolutions. Her lips tremble into a smile. Thank you, Dr. Morgan. When she leaves, I cross to the wall. Hanging there now is my grandmother's portrait, framed beside the first patent that saved everything. The plaque beneath reads, "Never underestimate the quiet ones. They're usually building revolutions." I touch the frame lightly, whispering, "We did it." But as night settles over the city skyline, I know this story isn't about victory alone. Power comes with shadows. Legacies are never clean. And though the empire is finally mine, the scars it left will never fade. The city glitters beneath me as I stand by my office window. 6 months of victories have turned Morgan Industries into a place of light, yet shadows still creep at the edges. I know because I feel them watching. Reports trickle in. A former employee spotted Victoria in Los Angeles meeting with investors. Another claims she's been in Dubai, whispering about new ventures. Nothing concrete, just fragments of smoke. But with Victoria, smoke always hides fire. My father, meanwhile, sits in silence. Once the commanding voice of boardrooms and shareholders, he now lingers in the shell of his estate, cut off from power. Dorothy sends updates. He refuses interviews, turns away visitors. Some call it pride. To me, it feels like exile. And still, a part of me waits for the knock at my door. It comes on a gray afternoon. Not Victoria, not father, my mother. She sits across from me, her hands folded tightly, knuckles white. She came to see him, she says softly. Victoria. She wants to rally him, to strike back. My chest tightens. They'll only destroy each other. Maybe, but you must decide, Seraphina. Will you spend the rest of your life defending what you've built, or will you end the war? Her eyes glisten, the same way they did the day I offered her the foundation. For the first time, I sense her plea isn't for herself. It's for me. That night, I walk alone through the old Morgan estate. Dust coats the heavy drapes, and silence hangs where power once thundered. My father sits by the window, staring at the dark gardens. He doesn't turn when I enter. You've come to gloat? His voice is hoarse, stripped of grandeur. No. I stand behind him, hands clasped. I came to offer a choice, to you and to her. He finally turns. The man who once terrified me looks smaller now, weighed down by bitterness. Mercy, Seraphina, after everything? Not mercy, I correct. Boundaries. You stay out of my work, my team, my life. In return, I won't pursue the full weight of criminal charges. His lips twitch into something between a sneer and a grimace. And Victoria? She'll make her own choice. But if she crosses me again, there won't be a second chance. For a long moment, we hold each other's gaze. For the first time in our lives, the silence doesn't feel like defeat. It feels like truth. When I leave the estate, I don't know if he'll accept the offer. I only know I've drawn the line. Weeks later, at a press conference unveiling our newest breakthrough, I catch sight of a familiar figure at the back of the crowd, Victoria. No cameras linger on her. No reporters chase her name. She watches me with eyes full of fire and something I can't name, regret, or perhaps rage. When our eyes meet, I hold her gaze, steady, unflinching. I don't smile. I don't speak. She turns away first. That night, as I stand again before my grandmother's portrait, I hear her voice in my memory. Legacy isn't what you inherit. It's what you build. I trace the plaque beneath her portrait. Never underestimate the quiet ones. For years, they underestimated me. Now the question lingers, will my legacy be remembered for mercy or for the fire I carried to survive? Only time will answer.